যদি সবাই ফিরে যায়, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায়, যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায়, তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। যদি আলো না ধরে, ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে, যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে, তবে বজ্রা নলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে, যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে। একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো, একলা চলো রে।
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. I hope the audio is coming fine. Yeah, this pen works. So, we will continue with the discussion of the book, The Religion of India, by the great Max Weber. And in last day's live stream, we discussed specifically his thoughts and scholarship on the Vaishya Varna and high netizen. And today we will get to the Shudras, and the episode before that we discussed his scholarship on Brahmins and Kshatriyas. So this entire chapter is called the main grouping of the castes, so it's just specifically discussing Varnas. Today we'll start the Shudras. Let's see what exciting RSS ka dallaish views we find from Max Weber on the Shudras again. Good evening, Neon. Among the industrial castes, two groups were outstanding. By the way, do you all remember what we found out from his scholarship the last day on Shudras? I marked some of it. He says, Shudras are the pillars of industry. And in fact, they were considered so. It's not just his personal view. Then Shudras in the royal council. Yeah, the king derived a certain quota of his officials for urban administration from the Vaishya caste when they were rich, and from the Shudra caste when they were virtuous. These obviously served as the collectors of liturgies or taxes from the guild. Guild power remained pure money power, not backed by an independent military organization. Yeah, and in the very last sentence of the previous subchapter on Vaishyas, he says, this brings us to the boundaries of the Shudra castes which were the pillars of Indian industry. Neon is saying, I lost some brain cells because of Kushal today. Oh, I see. What did he say? Please do some more Nidja again if you... Yeah. If I'm not that sleepy, I'll try to do one right after we discuss Max Weber. But what did he say? I did not see he had a live stream planned. I haven't been watching a lot of Indian media, television, podcasts for a long time now. I'm just fed up with anything related to Indian media. Among the industrial castes, two groups were outstanding. First, we must consider a socially, that is, ritualistically degraded caste, which was able neither to give water to Brahmins nor employ them as house priests. Since all castes of the south can accept water only from their respective members, only the latter criterion applies there. In addition to its very different elements, the Shudra class comprises primarily the ancient village crafts, hence artisans and workers who have no full right to the land. Such workers and artisans receive garden land, wages in kind or money, and their work from times of earlier settlement has been an indispensable supplement to the household economy of the peasants. Sham Sharma, but what was the topic, Neon? The peers of these workers and artisans were and are the remaining village servants whose local composition varied widely from place to place, often including the village priests. It is quite probable that they constituted the historical nucleus of the ancient Shudra class. Ancient Shudra class, which does not really correspond to the contemporary Shudra class. Therefore, he is mentioning specifically. It is quite probable that they constituted the historical nucleus of the ancient Shudra class, which had no right to village lands. But there was a nucleus of that idea. There was a nucleus of, at least, of the continuation of that idea. As a rule, the interlocal trades, such as the large ancient weaver castes, hold an equivalent position. Weaver castes का surnames क्या होता है? What is the अच्छा, Tati is the name, the word in Bengali. I've never heard a Tati surname. What are the surnames for Bengali and non-Bengali people from the weaver caste? Topic was of Delhi Blast and Ranga's comment, Ranganathan, that the ideology in question is in its foundation. Radical Kushal defended them by bringing up the Old Testament. Yeah, but that has been my point recently as well in the last 1 or 2 years, that why are we going around defending Ramayan and Mahabharat to people who hate it or want to denounce it, etc., based on things said inside there. Things inside there, whether they are moral or immoral, whether they were moral, are not moral anymore, or whether they were immoral forever, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is what do the followers of that book say and do. I guess I'm kind of ending up agreeing with Kushal. But therefore, if Kushal brings up a defense of the Holy Quran, and just to do whataboutery with the Old Testament, we must also therefore remember to not ever waste our time defending to any naysayers our texts as well. It does not matter if there is puppy torture in Ramayana or not. It matters that most Hindus today don't do puppy torture. So yeah, you can say that whatever the Holy Quran says, it has no bearing on today's Muslims or their actions. So okay, let's not waste anybody's time then, and we just go ahead and criticize the people today. Fair enough. But if at all there is a connection between what is written in the book and what is going on, then there's no point bringing up Old Testament, of course. Would your answer be different based on the election outcome? Which election outcome? Bengal. He was saying Old Testament has much more. Yeah, it does. But that's not what most Jews are doing. So what can we do? Yeah, but the book itself is different in nature than ours. It's not interpretive as it's meant to be taken. Neon, that debate is for very special niche platforms like like my live streams almost. Like has to be between you and me. Most Hindus don't know that they are interpretive. They are not meant to be taken literally. A lot of people want to take them literally. A lot of people believe in them literally. A lot of people use the descriptions as prescriptions. A lot of people think of the prescriptions as commandments. So yeah, it cannot be pick and choose based on whichever suits our argument, when since there is no unanimous decision amongst the Hindus that yes, they are interpretive, or yes, they are prescriptive, or yes, they are commandments. There's no point even saying that sentence that it is X, Y, Z. So the point is, yeah, they are probably in reality different from those texts, but we are not going to defend it to people who think of those texts as all the as exactly similar genre of texts. That's just a waste of time. After Bengal elections, you should have that debate. Which debate? No matter who wins, by the way, Bengal elections, some things are not going to be safe to say or do in Bengal. Even if Vivek Ramaswamy becomes the chief minister of West Bengal, some things are going to be out of bounds. As a rule, the interlocal trades, such as the large ancient weaver castes, hold an equivalent position. Of equivalent rank are the tailors, most of the potters, part of the peddler trades, the liquor dealers and oil pressers, so the teli Shahas. And finally, the numerous castes of farmhands and smallholders. The caste rank of the potters varies widely depending on whether they work at the disc or use the farm, hmm, or use oxen or the always degrading donkey. In large territories where these village outsiders were sufficiently numerous, they formed at times a separate community with a special patel provided by the most important trade, for example, the carpenters. And I'm saying, will you invite any more BJP person? I want you to ask the guests their plans about loudspeakers. That question is going to be a waste of time anyway. You know what their answer is going to be. If they say yes, it's going to be a lie. If they say no, you are going to be disappointed. Give him gali. If he says yes and follows through, that will be a miracle. For a while, in some localities, for some bhashanbazi for a few months, nothing more is going to happen. That debate is not going to have any outcome. Yeah. I never go out of my way to invite any political persons. Since I have ended up having a good relationship with somebody, if someone wants to recommend somebody to my channel, I accept them. I don't think I've ever said no. I have said no to one or two people who are absolute retards or insanely controversial. Like everyone from every political party says that they have some shenanigans going on in their payments and stuff. I've rejected only two such people, but everyone else, yeah. So you might see some other people as well. Yeah, but Neon is saying, then why are they doing this and not the Christians or the Jews? Why are we not doing the same? Not just because of the texts, no. Hence, Jews are not doing those things, even though it's written in their texts. So, one of explanation these days pretty popular is that at around 1,500 years, a religion goes through sort of a reformation, which is not based on Hinduism really, but on other religious data from other religions. So that it's just that the time hasn't come for Islam. That's one argument. My argument is that you won't raise a finger on law and order. We will go around debating texts and get ourselves killed. So fuck off. Not fuck off to you. So fuck off to the people who expect us to debate texts and get killed. Rudranil Ghosh, there's so much lack of content in his speeches these days that I would not go out of my way to invite him. Maybe, although he has said, I have spoken to him. He has said that he will agree to a podcast only if I take along my entire podcasting team and go to his house and stuff. So for that, I'll require budget. I'm not spending my money on it. If someone wants to sponsor it, finance it, fair enough. But anyone directly related with politics is not doing anything other than bhashanbazi in Bengal. So it's going to be a waste of your time and my time and the person or people who finance that as well. And besides, my channel is not that big that it will create some significant ruckus, as if there is anything from any political party to create a ruckus about. Everyone knows what is what. To be honest, I would rather focus on the policies that can change the system incrementally so that there can be overall prosperity. Exactly. And then may the best culture win. Yeah. दुबई, सऊदी अरेबिया, ये लोग तो आगे जा रहे हैं सबसे. पाकिस्तान से भी, हमसे भी. ये कुछ अपना वर्जन ऑफ इस्लाम भी फॉलो करेंगे. बोलेंगे नहीं, इस्लाम डज नॉट टीच वायलेंस. तो वही सच बन जाएगा. सक्सेसफुल लोग, पावरफुल लोग, not often mutually inclusive, of course, but and especially if someone is successful and powerful like Saudi Arabia and Dubai, whatever they say will become the truth. Whatever they say about Islam will become the truth. We will be left hanging debating Holy Quran. Mihir Singh, all he said was that since we allow the luxury of interpretation to Hindus, Jews and Christians from their actual actions, the fact that not all का क्वेश्चन आ कहां से रहा है? कौन घूम घूम के बोल रहा है कि हर मुस्लिम ऐसा कुछ कर रहा है? I think probably let's say we get to a group of farthest Hindu right wing 1,000 people from the entire country. I bet you even 500 people from that farthest 1,000 right-wing group probably likes some songs by A.R. Rahman, probably respects our Muslim bowlers, probably likes some Muslim actor or Muslim director, or has listened to Zakir Hussain. तो ये ऑल मुस्लिम्स का सेंटेंस फ्रेज ये वर्ड चॉइस ही कोई नहीं बोल रहा है, और यू आर गोइंग अराउंड क्रिटिसाइजिंग दैट थॉट, pretending like as if everyone is going around saying that. जो सामने है ही नहीं शत्रु, वो शत्रु को डिफीट करने में लगे हैं. ये फालतू का भाषणबाजी सबका. Probably admire APJ Abdul Kalam. Yes. हाँ. ऑल मुस्लिम्स का तो सवाल ही नहीं पैदा हो रहा है. ऑल मुस्लिम्स का प्रश्न ही जन्म नहीं ले रहा है. Ranking just above this ritualistically degraded stratum is another substantially less degraded stratum, which is considered to be pure. In addition to the whole series of peasant castes, which vary in rank in the different regions which contain the mass of this class, there is typically to be found in this stratum a qualitatively important category of castes, the so-called Nabashakha or nine-part group. The nine-part group, we read so much of this in the Hitesh Ranjan Channel paper. My God, I never realized it when I was reading that paper that it's going to be so impactful in my understanding of caste systems of India. There are so many countless instances where I think, oh my God, yes, this is what I learned in Hitesh Ranjan Channel, or when I'm debating someone on caste, or when I'm explaining to somebody the concept of caste. I repeatedly, it comes to my mind while explaining that, oh wait, yeah, remember what I'm saying here? This I learned from the Hitesh Ranjan Channel paper. What an in-depth scholarship then Hitesh Ranjan Channel has come up with in that paper. Phenomenal. If you are any of our new viewers, you all should absolutely go and check out our discussion of that paper. I have named that video How to Buy Your Caste. It's in our playlist of caste papers. The nine-part group obviously forms the kernel of the so-called Sat Shudra, pure Shudra. The occupations of this group are urban industries and trades like betel, pan, perfume and oil vending, pastry making. Pastry था तब. Pastry किस चीज को बोला जा रहा है? Does anybody have any idea? What might Max Weber be talking about in the Indian context? Pastry, क्या दही या फिर कुल्फी वगैरह? नहीं, दही वड़ा को शायद pastry बोल रहे हैं क्या? Gardening and at times the making of pottery. An equal or superior position is occupied by the gold and silversmiths, lacquer workers. I have no idea what lacquer is. LACQUER. Masons, carpenters, silk decorators, and a series of similarly specifically luxury or city occupations. Oh, अच्छा. Therefore, they are purer. देखो, city folk को serve करते हैं, ritualistically pure बना दिए गए. Ritual backdoor हमेशा ढूंढा जाएगा to acknowledge the reality around you. That is the awesomeness of Hinduism. मिष्टी बनाया जा रहा. Other castes occasionally belong to this group as a result of historical vicissitudes. Similarly, there are Shudra castes of domestic servants of varying types which are held to be pure. So Max Weber is arguing, pointing out clearly, repeatedly, not all Shudras are impure untouchables. These classifications were in no way systematized. At times, practical necessity played a role in the elevation of an occupation. A man rendering personal service who is forced, while caring for the patron's person, to touch him, a butler or barber, for example, could hardly be assigned to an impure caste. For the rest, the view may be correct that artisans who first appeared with the development of the city were not village bondsmen, and hence from the beginning were social superiors to these menials, and therefore also ritually privileged. The industries which participated in urban retail trade were in a socially more favorable situation because of their personally independent economic position. Wow, free market. Moreover, during the flowering of the cities, they often organized into guilds, which castes such as the weavers here, as in the Occident, like in the West, were employed by the guilds for wages and placed under strong pressure. Thus, the economic structure of the ancient city economy, or better, the beginnings of one as it existed in India, casts its shadow into the very present. In any case, urban economy must have had great significance for the development of the Shudra class. In ancient literature, the idea may be found that the city in general was the settlement of Shudras, of craftsmen. However, urban economy per se and the later establishment of individual crafts on its soil does not suffice to explain the rank differences between the various occupations. That, of course, will depend on status and cultural and social capital. Social capital will, of course, depend a little on economic capital, but mostly on how valuable your trade is to society. The law books enjoined the Shudra to dutiful quote unquote service. Only when he could find no service was he permitted to become an independent trader or craftsman. The sentence allows but one conclusion, if any, that slaves and bondsmen of the overlord, unless exploitable in his oikos, received in return for taxes, apophora, obrok, libsens, okay, received in return for taxes permission for independent work on their own account in a manner similar to that of the West and Oriental antiquity of the Middle Ages and of Russia prior to the abolition of serfdom. Direct evidence for this appears to be lacking. Oh, great. Contemporary vestiges of similar conditions, however, are to be found. There is, for example, a small caste of quote unquote slaves in northwestern India. He's saying quote unquote slaves. Dr. C was saying, all Kushal said was that we allow interpretation to Hindus, Christians, and Jews due to their actions, so we should be equivocal since there was interpretation in Muslims also. Why is there an exact same comment from two people? Are you guys spamming, or are you guys the same people from different IDs? Oh, okay. No, it was not the exact same comment, but yeah, the point was same. Yeah. The problem with that argument is also, Dr. CEO, that it's based on the premise that Hindus are up in arms, and all Hindus, or at least a majority of Hindus, are up in arms, saying that all Muslims are to be blamed, which is not remotely the case. Firstly, not all Hindus are blaming Muslims at all. And secondly, even the ones who are blaming are not blaming all Muslims. Therefore, it's mostly show off. Direct evidence for this appears to be lacking. Contemporary vestiges of similar conditions, however, are to be found. There is, for example, a small caste of quote unquote slaves in northwestern India. These are domestic servants who outside their duties in the households, have been permitted by their masters freely to pursue their trades. Also, the insignificance of compulsory slave labor in Indian industry agrees with this. In any case, the sources clearly indicate the bondsmen artisans appear alongside the specially important and characteristically Indian village artisans and urban guild artisans. None of these, however, seem to represent the true archetype of the Shudra. Four types of craftsmen appear in the Indian economic order from the epics until the Middle Ages, and in part until the present. These are 1. Hillets of single villages settled on the village outskirts, worth comparing with German terms. अच्छा, hillets का मतलब क्या है एक बार देख लेते हैं. Exact meaning always helps. I keep forgetting these words. Yeah, so hilot means a member of a class of serfs in ancient Sparta, immediate in status between slaves and citizens. Okay. Hillets of single villages settled on the village outskirts received a fixed wage in kind or some land. The work of these artisans almost always takes the form of strict wage labor. That is to say, the patron furnishes all materials, the hilot handicrafts. Artisans settled in separate, so the second kind of people, okay? Four types of craftsmen appear in the Indian economic order from the epics until the Middle Ages and in part until the present, right? So the first is helots. The second type are artisans settled in separate self-governing villages of their own. There, they offered for sale their services or wares, WARES, bartan vagara, or whatever equipment, made from their own raw materials, or they sold their products personally or through traders in distant markets, or finally, they worked at the places of their patrons, like in the case of tribal handicraft. Thirdly, artisans who were settled by a king, prince, temple, or landlord on their lands. Such artisans could be either bond or freemen, but were in any case subject to servitude. They supplied the lord's demand for good, either oikos or liturgical handicraft. The latter may in part be combined with price labor. Since the rise of patrimonialism, liturgical crafts are represented primarily by defense workers, by shipbuilders and armorers who reportedly were often forbidden to work for private patrons. Blacksmiths and similar craftsmen too were subject to especially strict controls. They are the crafts which in the early Roman state formed the centuria fabrum. And fourthly, independent artisans who settle in definite streets of the city and as price workers or wage workers offer their wares or their services in a bazaar handicraft. A considerable part of the group probably were not permanent urban residents, but represent an offshoot of the second category. Even at present, we learn from Bombay that the artisan, when aged or sufficiently prosperous, often retires from the city to his village. At any rate, this category does not represent a primary type, nor does the third. The princes, especially the rich ones of the trading cities of South India and Ceylon, recruited artisans from afar for the construction of palaces and temples. Hmm. The princes settled such important artisans with land in return for their service to the courts as construction workers and artist craftsmen. Listen to this. This is pretty fascinating. Thank you, Mayuresh. Sandeep is saying, I don't understand why Shudras are considered low. They are part of the society. Treating untouchables outside the Varna system bad is the real issue. Sandeep Singh Bajwa, I think it's an inevitable phenomenon that someone will be considered low, someone will be considered high in society, in a group, in a music band, in a particular profession industry, in the music industry, in the film industry, and in your personal life, in your marriage. Everywhere someone will be high, someone will be low, depending on how much value they bring. Not really even how much value, depending on how irreplaceable they are. The degree of their replaceability is directly proportional to them being lower in the ranks. So um, that is what the term viveka is for. It's for discriminating. It's discriminating not in the racist sense, discriminating in the sense of being the opposite term for prioritization, priority. If I say something is good, or I like this thing, or I like that person, it inherently means you like him or her better than somebody else. You are discriminating against that person against whom you are discriminating. Why is that person low in your eyes? Why is your wife your wife? Why isn't your wife every woman you've ever met? Are you discriminating against the rest of the women? But isn't Ranga's argument that these people cannot change similar to the left saying that Hinduism to aisa hi hai? Ranga is quite influential and should be responsible. Mm, it's a very fair argument, Dr. CEO. The problem is, you and I know who Anand Ranganathan is, and we know he is being bombastic with those statements, and he does not mean them in the sense of each and every Muslim. So I'll give that benefit of doubt to Anand Ranganathan specifically, not anyone and everyone. Some Hindus definitely think that, but their number is minuscule. In fact, if their number is even not minuscule, those are the most ineffective ones and will be the first ones to collaborate with people he hates for his personal benefits and stuff. Often, and maybe often not even. Those are the real negligible minority in the country. But with Anand Ranganathan, we know he doesn't mean it literally for every Muslim. Thank you, Sandeep Singh Bajwa. It's their individual businesses, not organizational in most of the cases. Legally, the size of we are getting to pre-bending again. Their legal status varies, by the way. Okay, The princes settled such important artisans who were listen to this phenomenal concept. The princes, especially the rich ones of the trading cities of South India and Ceylon, recruited artisans from afar for the construction of palaces and temples. The princes settled such important artisans with land in return for their service to the courts as construction workers and artist craftsmen. Their legal status varies. Alongside such purely liturgical artisans, compensated by service benefices and payment in kinds, there are to be found contractually free or tariffed wage workers who came of their own accord. The size of the land prebends of the Ceylonese royal craftsmen depended upon the nature of their services. Legally, so you see everything depends upon the nature of their services. Legally, the craftsman was free to retire at any time from his service and to renounce his prebend. Ramana Rishabh. The first category, Hilot handicraft, may frequently have been derived from the second group through the summoning of craftsmen from pariah tribes who had worked as itinerant journeymen at their patrons' places and then settling them in the village. The age of Hilot handicraft actually cannot be stated for the early sources, the age exactly which era it happened in, that cannot be stated because the early sources permit no clear insight into the situation of artisans. It is highly probable, however, that the development of Hilot handicraft soon followed the establishment of permanent settlements. In all probability, the true primary form of such labor is that of tribal handicraft. In the primary form of tribal handicraft, a tribe or tribal division settled in a village, producing for increasingly distant markets. Possibly too, members of the tribe migrated into the neighborhood of princes and courts, there developing new closed handicraft villages. We have reports of such handicraft villages precisely in nearby places. The journeymen of the king arrived like the Brahmins at the journeymen of the king arrived like the Brahmins at the call of a prince and permitted themselves to be settled in his territory. These royal artisans enjoyed a high degree of personal security. Under the Maurya dynasty, anyone who did severe bodily injury to an artisan had to face capital punishment. Can you believe that? You harm a Shudra physically in the under the Maurya dynasty, you get capital punishment. Holy shit. I have to underline this. Fuck. Left hand से underline करना पड़ेगा. रुको. How do I underline this now? Although, in some cases, these artisans might have been considered Vaishyas as well. But anyway, ठीक है, artisans ही लिख देते हैं. My thumb is so fucked. Pradipta is saying in today's modern age, law doesn't get derived from what caste they belong to. Does caste play a role in Bengal? If not, does it play any role in other parts? What is their significance today? Their significance is twofold. One is in the fancy dress competition kind, which is being incentivized and frankly held on. It's going on because of the state, Indian state, capital S, and because they keep reminding you, they keep asking you to remember every fucking morning when you write down a document, fill up a government document, you have to remember what your caste is. So it's the government pushing you further and further to help you remember your past caste names, which have no relevance today, at least not in any state outside some states where there is significant caste politics as well, which is also being incentivized because of this action by the state government. If the state stops recognizing caste, within, I think, 5 years, caste politics will disappear, and within 10 years, casteism will disappear. But what castes are in reality, Pradipto, that is inevitable, that goes on today, which is why not everyone is allowed to use the lifts in housing complexes. Why? Are they ritually impure, and only the ritually pure guys go up that lift? No, it's because some people don't want to mingle with some other people. And the second kind of other people in this context are people whose professions are not considered that tough to do, or is simply a dirty job. I thoroughly read the Indians flailing state paper that you previously covered. Very fascinating, and absolutely agree with, yeah, majority of the points, but they got the causes of open defecation quite wrong. I don't remember their argument. What happened? Rwanda, that didn't, nothing happened again. My pain has increased, and I was uh, going around without the crepe bandage to some degree, because I was not being able to hand or hold anything. So I thought, let's go on with the pain. So the doctor has recommended me to take extra care now. There was swelling going on. Haddi toota hua hai, I was not using the bandage. I've always wondered what my surname means. Are we originally from a place called Agar? Did we used to sell agarbatti? I've heard, Rishabh, that some god, Agrasena or something like that, uh, people who believed in that king or that god, uh, they came to be called Agrawals. That paper was before 2014, if I remember correctly, so open defecation was an issue then. I still remember when Dada was debating that leftist and he was about to jump from excitement. Which leftist? The Bengali one or the English one, who has become our frequent viewer these days? So yeah, Pradeep's question also has two other questions. Does caste play a role in Bengal? Yeah, Pradeep, that absolutely does. But not in the UP Bihar way. It matters in the way in which castes are inevitable and the reality of human society, and even some animal societies as well. Is it a coincidence that Brahmins, Vaidyas, Kaistas are overwhelmingly represented in academia and entertainment and politics in Bengal? Is it a coincidence that no Brahmin, Vaidya, Kaista died in the genocide in Morichapi? Are they coincidences? Or are their historical position in society carrying on in the same way in today's society in a place which claims to not have casteism at all, and therefore again creating the distinction of some people being too important because of their professions, because of their even hereditary professions, which is not legally hereditary, and some people having seemingly lesser importance for their position, for their professions. So unless West Bengal is a land of countless caste-related coincidences, you have to admit Bengal does have a caste problem. Unless everything else is a coincidence. Dr. C is saying, I don't think that a Brahmin who is working as a maid gets to explain that she is a Brahmin and still has to conform to privileged mannerisms. King Agrasen of Mount Abu, I never made that connection. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. So, under the Maurya dynasty, anyone who did severe bodily injury to an artisan and had to face capital punishment. In the Mauryan dynasty, what the relatively high rank of the Tati weaver caste in Bengal as compared with the rank of weavers in other regions may possibly be explained by their origin from a royal Bengal craft. Apparently and understandably, such royal handicraftsmen maintained on the whole the most distinguished rank among the artisans. Particularly in the great epoch of building which followed the introduction of stone construction in India, 3rd century BC, there must have been an increased demand for them, especially for the newly developed craft workers, stone cutters, and masons. Until the time of King Ashoka in the 3rd century BC, the ancient city of Patliputra had wooden walls. Only under King Ashoka was the city fortified by brick walls. At the same time, stone houses were built. The Indian great kings to establish their bureaucracy, at least in part, as a construction bureaucracy. Thus, the increased demand must have elevated the position of such craftsmen. What did I just say? See? The increased demand must have elevated the position of such craftsmen. So, in the end, everything depends on the demand of your profession and how good you are in your profession and how tough is it to get into your profession and be good at it, etc. So, why won't that go on today? Even today, we have professions where it's almost impossible to get in, and there are professions where you can get in very easily. if you just have if you don't care about what society says and have some tenacity and physical strength, etc. A similar rise in importance for the crafts. Fuck. A similar rise in importance for the craftsmen involved must have been accomplished by the subsequent imports of precious metals from the Occident, from the West. An important illustration is found in the Kammalar artisans of South India and the nearby islands. The rank order of the occupations is as follows: first, iron workers; second, wood workers; three, copper and bronze workers; four, stone; and five, precious metal and jewel workers. The five caste craftsmen, Panchwala, as they are named in Mysore. They worship Vishwakarma as an ancestral lord and vocational god and have, as noted earlier, their own priests. They claim high rank, at times even Brahmanical descent. The great and persisting schism in the south between the castes of the right and left hands, the right path and the wrong path, of course, I guess, the Dakshinachara, Vamachara, or the Vama in every concept, not just Tantra. This resulted from their insurrection against the Brahmins. In any case, their rank was in general higher than that of the craftsmen of ancient local trades, as for example the potters and weavers. In Malabar, they were considered impure, probably because they were schismatics. Yet social rank and likewise uh, economic power position resulted often from very particular conditions. Such rifts as develop may in fact cut through one and the same caste. Exactly. The Sutars in Bombay, in their role as village carpenters, are village servants. Their urban caste members became shipbuilders and claimed to be Brahmins. When this is why how to buy your castes. When denied admittance as Brahmins, they developed priests of their own and discontinued commensalism with the village carpenters. Quite apart from special urban conditions, circumstances may place a premium upon the services of the hilot artisans. When irregular services or services beyond those which are customary are demanded of the hilot artisan, such as repairs out of season, he is favored by his monopoly position. The village smith especially seems often to have raised considerable pretensions in India as elsewhere. Lol. Literary sources and inscriptions on monuments show the considerable scope of the princely oikos and liturgical handicraft. Royal and similarly temple artisans represented high quality labor among the Indian artistic crafts, secure in their prebends as they could afford the quote unquote time to manufacture artistic products. Kumaraswamy mentions without further references a vase in Delhi, which was produced by three generations of a family of royal artisans. Almost always princely officials, and with the great kings, ministerial committees for industry developed. These offices could hardly have served any other purpose than to supervise the work of these artisans. The substitution of money taxes for corvees is consistent with the character of administrative development. It brought these artisans into line with other trades of the royal cities, which were subject to tax and license obligations. Tax payment was viewed as a compensation for trade monopolies. Tax payment was viewed as a compensation for trade monopolies, which were almost always guaranteed to some extent to settled artisans. On the other hand, there is found within the princely oikos the development of the ergastarian as we know it from later Occidental antiquity, especially from Egypt, as well as from the from later Byzantine, as well as from the Byzantine and Middle Eastern Middle Ages, where royal grants of artisans to temples or Brahmins or knightly vassals occur. We may generally interpret the documents as referring to oikos or liturgical artisans. एक मिनट एक चीज का मीनिंग देखना है. Hmm. So when you make religious samagri, That's liturgical artisans. Though not probable, it is quite possible that as the king increasingly claimed the right to land and free disposition of the subject's economic services, he may also have farmed out hilot artisans or even tribal artisans. In the time of guild power, urban artisans to some extent shared the guild's prosperity, where organized craft guilds often charged high initiation fees, varying according to the respective craft. They might amount to several $100s, a small fortune in India at the time. Like merchant guilds, price worker guilds developed hereditary membership. They imposed fines and control, just like how the judiciary runs today, or especially even the lawyer's profession. They imposed fines and controlled. They imposed fines and controlled with these sanctions the nature of the work, holidays, work time, etc., and established above all guarantees for the quality of the wares, the equipment they are making. As indicated, however, many craftsmen were dependent on the traders and their putting out system. The self-government of artisans with the development of patrimonialism The self-government of artisans with the development of patrimonialism shared the fate of the guilds opposite the advancing caste organization and the power of royal bureaucracy. In the cities as seats of princes, royal guild masters appeared early. Without question, the king, in his financial interest, controlled the crafts with increasing severity. The fiscal interests of the king may well have contributed to the stabilization of the caste order. It is necessary to assume, of course, that many guilds turned directly into castes or subcastes, or as divisions of pariah tribes were not separate from them in the uh, or as divisions of pariah tribes were not separate from them in the first place. Artisan castes, at least the upper crust of the artisan artists, had a fixed system of apprenticeship. कौन किसको काम सिखाएगा, कैसे सीखेगा, etc. The father, granduncle, elder brother took their places as teaching masters, and after the completion of apprenticeship, as house masters to whom all wage earnings had to be surrendered. Apprenticeship under a strange master of the apprenticeship under a strange master of the caste is found. It followed rigid traditional norms and involved reception into the house community, with corresponding submission to the master. In theory, an apprentice had to acquire basic technology as prescribed by the Shilpa Shastra, a product of priestly scholarship. Therefore, stonecutters were at times held to be a caste of literati and had the title Acharya, teacher, or master. The Western parallel to this vacillating position is that of the quote unquote architect at the time of the construction of Gothic domes, a problem treated by Hassack, another scholar. In general, the tools of the Indian artisan were technically so simple that many of them were self-made. Among some handicrafts, the tools were worshipped as quasi fetishes, and the caste often honors them even at present in the Dashera festival. Alongside other traditional traits, this stereotyping of tools was one of the strongest handicaps to all technical development. The parallel in the fine arts was the stereotyping of models and the rejection of all designing after nature. The parallel in the fine arts was the stereotyping of models and the rejection of all designing after nature. Among some building crafts, particularly among handicrafts working with sacred objects, elements of technical procedure, for example, painting the eye of a sacred picture, assumed the character of a magically relevant ceremony which had to follow definite rules. Any change of technique required often with usually negative results, the consulting of an oracle, as the potters once found in the goddess Bhagavati. It is difficult to determine in detail how long strict caste closure of various royal and urban handicrafts has existed in various territories. Several handicrafts may work closely together. Thus, Colonel Henley found a combination of wood, stone, and metal work in North Jaipur, but as a rule, it is accompanied by strict guarantee of hereditary patronage. The lowest caste stratum was considered to be absolutely defiling and contaminating. First, this stratum comprised a number of trades which are almost always despised because they involve physically dirty work. So people don't want to mingle with them, like street cleaning and others. Furthermore, this stratum comprised services which Hinduism had to consider ritually impure, like tanning, leather work, and some industries in the hands of itinerant guest workers. And tanning leather work also, when Buddhism and Jainism promoted ahimsa, that's when these things became further Shudrafied. However, it would be a great mistake to believe that the three industrial strata distinguished by us, that is, original urban or royal artisans, original village artisans, original guest workers, approximately fit the three caste framework of the Sat Shudra, ordinary Shudra, and impure castes. If anyone disregards special ritualistically determined exceptions, as for example the leather trades, okay, it would be a great mistake to believe that the three industrial strata distinguished by us even approximately fit the three caste framework. Okay, therefore you cannot ever accurately retrofit jatis into varnas. Quite apart from ritually determined direct or indirect exceptions from that rule, caste organization presents far too colorful and irrational a picture. Exactly. Too complex to even decide affirmative action based on this existence, this phenomenon. A great many, at first puzzling cases, can only be classified in terms of their concrete historical development. For many others, general reasons for the ascent or descent of a caste or subcaste can be stated. This depends upon the conditions of determining the origin, developments, or change of castes and subcastes. With this, we complete our survey of the empirical caste order and resume the discussion of general conditions. This is where we end chapter 2. Next chapter, which we will take up the next day, is called Caste Forms and Schisms. The first chapter there is called Caste Criteria. This will be interesting. Now I'll check some comments and have some green tea and discuss the comments. Hmm. Yeah, Neon, I read the flailing state comments. Since no one really wants to clean the pits, as it's just plain disgusting on every level, the solution should have actually been to have a proper sewage system. uh, yeah, सीवेज सिस्टम तो ब्रिटिश ने बना दिया है और बाकी क्या बनाना. Who cares what happens in the West? ब्रिटिश ने बनाया, गलती किया. They solely blamed the open defecation on Hindu rituals. What the? Oh, ऐसा था. I see. But on further research, I found studies where I found that the usage of pit latrines are actually not preferred by any community. Hindu rituals के साथ. Oh my God, that's such a Dumonian understanding of Indian society, man. That's complete horseshit. I know you are not saying it, but yeah, that point I didn't even remember this point, but because I was excited about so many other things in the paper, but this point makes absolutely no sense. ये चेन ऑफ कॉजालिटी काहे भूल जाते हैं लोग while discussing इंडियन सोसाइटी. क्या ऐसा हुआ कि अच्छा लोग आराम से एकदम साफ सुथरा टॉयलेट में जाके टॉयलेट करते हैं, एक दिन कहीं से कुछ हिंदू लोग आ गए, आके किसी को कुछ नया रिचुअल सिखा दिए, और फिर लोगों को लगा कि हाँ ये रिचुअल तो बढ़िया है, अच्छा ये रिचुअल बोल रहा है कि बाहर टॉयलेट करना चाहिए, तो चलो करना शुरू कर देते हैं अचानक. ऐसा 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 चेन में हुआ था. ये क्रोनोलॉजी आप समझेंगे. हिंदू रिचुअल्स एज इफ दे डोंट स्टेम फ्रॉम सोसाइटी. क्या अजीब कंक्लूजन है. They brought in the whole caste. Oh, acha. Their understanding of caste in 2007 was all based on Dumo only. Rest of the paper, yeah, it was majorly. This paper is very awesome. Nothing new, retroactive. Nothing new happened to my arm. Just the pain has increased, so the doctor has asked me to take extra care now. I was not taking extra care. Will your BBK extended family read it? By the way, what are the updates y'all are getting from your sources here and there, or years on the ground? Who's winning Bengal 2026 and 2029 Indian Lok Sabha elections? I think Rahul Gandhi will be PM in 29, and Mamdani will be president in 32, if not 28. Oh, conclusion টা copy আচ্ছা আচ্ছা হ্যাঁ, then they will probably read it and they will hate it if they are actually reading it. Here to learn is saying even after government building toilets, people still don't use them for some weird belief, and the scholars put that belief as related to Hinduism. They don't use the toilet for some belief. No, it's just a matter of habit, which is why it cannot be blamed on Hinduism or any ritual, because it's not like one fine morning a ritual is thrusted down your throat and you change your beliefs because of that ritual. उतना होता तो I mean, I am the source. I'll give you the full picture if I survived. No, no, no. You are pretty anonymous here. So give us some picture right here only, right now. How are you all liking Mamdani? और विवेक वर्सेस ममदानी एक डिबेट होना चाहिए. Oh my God, क्या डिबेट होगा सोचो. ममदानी सिर्फ बोलेगा कि तुम ब्राह्मण हो, काहे इतना प्रिविलेज लेके यूएसए में आ गए, देखो तुम्हारे लोग पहले शूद्रों पर कितना अत्याचार करते थे, अब हम लोगों पर कितना अत्याचार करते हैं. और बहुत सारे इंडियन फैन बॉयज भी होंगे ऑफ ममदानी. अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल विल try to show off their nationalistic credentials by saying that no, I like Mamdani because I'm a proud Indian. He uses Dhoom Machale as his crowning ceremony. He quotes Nehru. Neon is saying, Nana, they said that because of the caste system, lower caste Hindus prefer defecating in the open rather than a pit latrines, which is insane. Pit latrines are disgusting for... Are bhai, even lower caste don't prefer that. They did not think of building it. It's a hot country. You don't do everything inside. The toilet film had debate on Manusmriti toilet relations. Akshay Kumar proved that Manusmriti doesn't ask you to shit like shit. Yeah, and the number of regulations you read off regarding hygiene in Arthashastra. Only people who can blame today's Indian civic sense or Indian hygiene on Hinduism are the ones who have never read Arthashastra. Because if something was the norm, government regulated norm in fucking 300 BC, what changed that behavior? Something did change it, something did incentivize it. Yes, definitely our Hindu ancestors are to be blamed, but not the Hindu aspect of our ancestors, not the Hindu-ness of them, not their culture or rituals. People just felt some poverty, I think, and got lazy and decided, let's fuck this. Chalo, kahin pe bhi susu karte hain. Not saying subjectively they found this in some studies on sub-Saharan Africa, as no one wanted to... disgusting to clean, nothing to do with caste or rituals. वैसे नहीं ऑन डिस्गस्टिंग टू डिस्गस्टिंग टू क्लीन नाम का भी कोई फ्रेज नहीं होना चाहिए इन अ पुअर सोसाइटी, बिकॉज समवन विल बी रेडी टू डू सम जॉब. आज के दिन भी मैनहोल में घुस के कोई कैसे नाली साफ कर रहा है, तो जो मैनहोल में घुस सकता है वो पिट भी क्लीन कर सकता है. I see autowalas and barbers of lower caste and class explain SIR and stuff articulately to their upper caste customers. I can tell you who will get ticket from Behala Poschim is Boishali Dalmia. From which party? These people changed parties so many times. From which party even is she going to run from or contest from? আমার মাথা গরমটা হলো when I saw that the state to cut costs built pit latrines instead of building actual toilets. The numbers are somewhat around 25-30%. Lol. Acha, BJP candidate. Yeah, she'll lose. But the point is, who do you think is winning 2026 elections? Not random candidates here and there. Retrowave. Khabar do andar ka. Versus Shohan from Poschim. Yeah, Shohan will get candidacy. I think he will win. They just wanted to report the improved numbers, which was hilarious. Do you think caste-based reservations have made meritocracy a joke? Yes, 100%. But I will take the argument of pro-caste reservation people a little. I'll acknowledge that at least, that since there is so much private jobs these days, it's not as relevant today as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The further back you go, caste reservations were that much more significant. So unless we are doing reservations in the private sector, it is going to it is not going to increase in importance. The problem is, I was about to say, that's why I stammered, I was about to say that it's going to go on decreasing in importance, which is not the case, because I thought this government will decrease the number of government jobs, but it is going on increasing the number of government jobs. Their excuses are different. So as long as government jobs exist or increase, caste reservations are going to be a factor, and we are going to be always staying away from merit, or if at all we even take merit into account, or let's say for a while, for some weird reason, merit does not matter in some particular job, incidentally, jobs which we or as a society or the netas don't care about, because they don't access the services of those particular professionals from those jobs, where they advocate for reservations, whereas they don't in some other government jobs like the Indian Army. So there, in those professions, if at all for a moment we decide merit does not matter, which is an absolute lie, in those situations even, it's not the underprivileged lower caste who is going to get that job. It's the most privileged inside the so-called lower caste group who's going to get the job anyway. So you are farthest away from justice, and even farther away from merit when you do reservations. You are not solving any of the two most significant problems of the society. জিতছো তাহলে বলছো? ও দেখি আবার আগের ওপর কমেন্ট গুলো। Retrofacing 110 to 120 if internal lift is fixed and the rest will be bought. Oh, अरे तब क्या नया बोला? Yeah, 110 तो even I'm saying best case scenario. 120 might be a significant miracle because a lot of people are that frustrated. Yes, after all, after that 120, everyone needs to be bought. But I don't think that much buying might be possible this time. Someone might prevent that buying. President rule to হবে না, yes. Neon জিতছে তাহলে বলছো? Yeah, I think Trinamool is winning. And the barber talked so much about investment stocks, gold, and holy cow. Rising income inequality. If Hindus want president's rule, they can start. Why wait for the? Oh, most of them are happy proving how significant, great Hindus they are, or how their biggest achievement is in life is that they have meat during Durga Puja. People are holding Maithili Thakur extra accountable than normal netas. If you have found people to clean to clean the put toilets if there was income inequality, but since everyone was dirt poor, you couldn't pay someone enough for them to clean it. So everyone was equally poor already. Was it that hard, rigid communism back then already? Oh, you're talking about today, of course. No, if you can find someone to clean manholes, you can find someone to do that. Me and my grandma, who has the same name as that name, have vowed, who has the same name as that name, has vowed if 2026 में अच्छा हुआ फिर we are going to buy some scotch and toast. Lol. Pitoilets barbecue, yes. 110 পেলেই সব এদিকে আসবে মনে হচ্ছে. That's a pretty believable argument. I just have a hunch it won't happen. Reservation is basically the legal means to create a caste hierarchy within the lower castes, within all society even. Because now everyone has an incentive to declare themselves and call themselves lower castes, create fake scheduled caste certificates and stuff. They know better than middle class Hindu upper caste TMC supporter proud in the Bengalis. I don't think it'll be buying, it'll be threats of arrests. Threats of arrest. Will all of those 50, 60 MLAs, what's the magic figure in Bengal? I forgot. 215, I guess. Or is it 180 something? So all those 70, 80 MLAs के खिलाफ क्या केसेस मिलेगा? नहीं तो बनाना पड़ेगा. बनाएंगे क्या उतनों के खिलाफ? उतना अगर बोल्ड सुप्रालीगल शेनानिगन्स करना ही होता तो और बहुत कुछ कर लेते. 215 Nidai Paul. Or 115, 215, right? Yeah. तो अभिषेक ही अगर जेल ना जाए तो और कौन यहाँ पे कहाँ से जेल जाएगा? Yes, Amartida naam mota otaman. Tata, by any chance, are you trying to reverse psychology the election results? Raghav also. No, no, I'm not playing any psychological games. I genuinely think BJP is not going to win Bengal 2026. And therefore, I genuinely think 2029 will be lost by them without significant MPs from Bengal, significant numbers of MPs. So, therefore, Rahul. What about Bihar elections? What's your assumptions? I don't follow Bihar society, Bihar politics at all. Uh, there's almost no ideological battle to follow. Therefore, it's just too boring to follow, except unless you are a day-to-day media coverage guy, journalistic and stuff like आज ये हुआ, आज ये मर गया, आज वो जिंदा हो गया, etc. So I don't know about Bihar much. All I know is it's impossible to predict Bihar because there the distinction between Hindutvadi versus non-Hindutvadi or is more murky. Bihar is West Bengal on steroids, both in terms of corruption and in terms of this, that the proudest Hindu guys are not remotely BJP supporters. So how are you going to be marking those people? How are you going to be making the distinctions? In other places, it's somewhat possible कि हाँ देखो ये सब भोसड़ी वाले एथीस्ट बन गए हैं, कॉमी है, पर्पल हेयर है, इसका मतलब है ये जरूर बीजेपी सपोर्टर नहीं है. वैसा बिहार में पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. Hitler is saying, please don't say that. I'm asking my Probashi friends to come and vote. They should. It might amount to something. I just personally believe it won't amount to something. It might. কিছু হবে না, 26 আবার আসবে আর Nitai Paul seems pretty depressed. Retro is saying 2029 will be lost by them. Even my contacts from Delhi are telling me, they asked me to go. So Retroave, I think we have similar types of contacts, or if not, we have similar contacts in similar rungs of society because we are predicting practically the same things, almost same numbers as well. I just don't think the buying will be that significant. I have not discussed that specifically with my contacts, but I am personally not sure. My personal hunch, just I'm going to repeat the word personally here a lot because it's not based on anything at all. It's just a hunch that the buying won't amount to everything that you are hoping it will. So even my contacts from Delhi are telling me, they asked me to go and work as consultants for them. But also I'm thinking of getting into some small-time local position. To be honest, BJP has become Congress sooner than I've predicted. What if Modi doesn't want BJP to win 2029? He knows his age won't permit probably 2029. What if he is pissed off with the other netas as well? Because of some shenanigan or the other by their sons and stuff. What if that is the case? Then it would make sense why he doesn't care about Bengal winning Bengal anymore or not winning 2029 and stuff. Just a conspiracy theory to ponder over. We'll have to give them at least a month after Bihar. All of this is just so they can stop Yogi. Imagine if you are each other's contacts, but you just... No, I don't have anonymous contacts. I talk to real people with real ears to the ground. Would Bengal have a chance if 2026 is lost? That's a good question. I will answer it. West Bengal has to be one for national security. Here to learn. Things are never really as bad as they seem, and things are never really as good as they seem. Often things are worse than you think they are. That might be the case for Bengal. I think that in the long run, Bengal is non-salvageable anyway. I think the decline in terms of law and order, investments and stuff, that's going to go on for now. But the Hindu rejuvenation that a lot of people also want for Bengal, that is only going to go on because RSS is getting stronger on the grounds. That has no bearing on elections, but there has to be a mystery to this. How am I getting beaten up for just refusing Durga Puja Chanda, and RSS is going around building schools after schools after schools and institutions and developing their social organizations in the most dangerous villages? How is that happening without any understanding? There is someone who is saying, okay, let RSS flourish. So some degree of Hindutva type of things will go on, but the type of Hindutva we believe in, none of that's going to happen. Yeah. So Hinduism is not lost. Hindu Bengalis are not going to disappear just because BJP loses this time. No, that's going to be prevented by a bit of the Hindu thing, Hinduness show off by Trinamulis themselves, as well as RSS's growing strength. The only reason they are caring about Bengal is to get enough seats to stop Yogi. They should have. I don't think they are, because winning 100, 110, 120 seats is not the result of them caring, Retroive. That's where you and I will disagree. I think the very fact that they are winning 110, 120 is a result of them not caring. If they actually cared, if they actually did a lot of things, I'm not talking about legality shenanigans like president's rule and stuff. I'm not talking about that stuff. But even if they had followed the law, followed what CBI had investigated, all of those things would have legitimately given them 180, 200 seats. 110, 120 means they don't give a fuck. So, yeah, what was your point? But if TNC can give BJP that and still stay in power, would truly, yeah. Amit Shah seems, Amit Shah seems pretty hellbent. My surgeon asked me to get yeah, just in case. Here to learn, just in case. Yeah, he's disliked, but he showed in 2024 what he can do. Chat move. Oh yeah, Yogi. West Bengal has to be one for national security. I don't think so. A lot of that land not being given to BSF and all, a lot of that will be managed without much ruckus. Whatever needs to be actually done, if at all someone cares about it, will be done without our eyeballs. We won't know that, yeah, land acquisition ho bhi gaya, BSF दीवार भी बना लिया. जब WB नेशन में रहेगा ही नहीं तो काहे का नेशनल yeah, that's not in our lifetimes. What is the larger picture for what central BJP leadership does not want TMC to go away? My personal conspiracy theory is a bit of those things. Trinamool will go to this state and that state and randomly create a ruckus, pretending to contest those elections and pull some Congress votes, and maybe some support or walk out in the parliaments, etc. There might be too much of knowing each other's secrets and stuff. There might be deep state issues because Trinamool's ascent, first of all, Nitai Paul, remember, happened after CPIM got too big for its shoes and tried to screw with Congress regarding the US nuclear deal. So maybe the deep state decided, okay, or deep state was invited by someone to screw the CPIM and make way for somebody else who maybe has some sort of a blessing for that newly ascended party even now. Maybe therefore Modi's hands are tied. Maybe that's one of the possibilities. The other possibility is that Trinamool goes to every state and cuts Congress votes, collaborates in some way or the other, directly or indirectly, in the parliament, and BJP keeps getting votes elsewhere by showing to people of those states the decline of West Bengal because of not voting for BJP. They can advertise that as well. Lots of reasons. Most importantly, he rules UP. Yeah. How is it that central forces need state government's mercy to get land to build fences and stuff? Quasi-federalism here to learn. ना प्रॉपर सेंट्रलाइजेशन बहुत तरीके, ना प्रॉपर फेडरलिज्म, क्वाजी फेडरलिज्म. हमारा सब कुछ वाइब पे चलता है ना, इसीलिए तो ये है लॉ, सेट इन स्टोन, subject to public morality. वेगनेस में ही तो पैसा है. स्पष्ट अगर सब कुछ बोल दो तब तो हिंदू महासभा का जैसा हाल हो जाएगा. आज हो कल नहीं, वर्ल्ड विंड की तरह आओगे, कुछ चीजें बदलोगे, फिर गायब हो जाओगे. Retro is saying, yes, I agree on that. Dada, do you remember in 2009 when CRPF was going door to door to make sure people voted? I've read about that as well. Yes. Out of topic, but tomorrow is my birthday. Happy birthday in advance, Arindam. So yeah, Retro, not even just that, not even just the CRPF thing. Yeah, in fact, that happened. I was at the peak of my political interest in everything. But the issue is a lot of people who should have gone to jail are not going to jail, will probably never go to jail. That's the reason they'll be have to be happy with 110, 120. How about BJP SF setting? Now Naushad is suing who? Shaukat Mullah or Kullan Banerjee for saying that they have a setting. So I'm not going to say they have a setting explicitly. But if at all they did, it would be very understandable, of course. Barbark is saying West Bengal isn't in that bad a situation that it's not salvageable. It is salvageable right now. It's not salvageable in the long run because of the population demography, which reacts to incentives and disincentives more clearly, like day and night, than anybody else. They don't play shenanigans with incentives and disincentives. Okay, सऊदी अरेबिया यूएई ने बोल दिया कि अच्छे बर्ताव करो, अच्छे बिहेव करो, अच्छे बिहेव करने लग गए. तुम यहाँ पे अफर्मेटिव एक्शन खेलने लग गए, तुम्हारा गाड़ मार दिया गया टेररिज्म से. तो जब अगर कहीं उनको फिर से इंसेंटिव मिल जाए कि कोई कॉल फॉर रिफॉर्म जैसा चीज बुलाने का, क्योंकि उनके कल्चर में रिफॉर्म मतलब होता है कि गेटिंग बैक टू an earlier, more purer version of it, where violence is more acceptable and more justifiable and more necessary, तब कोई भोसड़ी के बचा नहीं पाएगा बंगाल को. That's long time from today. That's what I'm that's for that era I'm saying it's not salvageable. With enough capital infusion, demographic can be resolved in a decade. Demographic can be resolved in a decade by who the fuck? People who are still hiring bureaucrats for running a department called population control. Neon, though those arguments might be a little bit of wishful thinking, saying that Yogi is too radical, therefore BJP doesn't like him. I think it's just plain petty political dynamics. Don't underestimate pettiness in great leaders. Excuse me. After all, everyone is a competitor in their small little professional setting. Do feminists vote as a bank? If so, to whom? Of course, anybody who's not BJP. Dada, I met a powerful BJP guy in Rajbihari today. I didn't even put in the report yet, but he told me BJP leaders are more worried about TMC goons turning on the citizens if they pick up Bhaipo. Yeah, I don't want to curse and use abusive words. Oh my God. A বালের এক্সকিউজ লেওড়া পাড়া চোদা তা জায়গা পায় না বাঙালকে হাইকোর্ট দেখানোর. No, Retrof, that's not an excuse. That's not a valid reason. It's the most hilarious apology I've ever heard regarding BJP in my life. Yeah, that's who the people care about finally. The poor little citizens. As if we have no other problems. As if each and every citizen is going to go around dying in riots if Abhishek is picked up. As if really. As if police, army, president's rule, BJP supporters themselves are all going to disappear one fine morning. नहीं तो बोल दो कि हाँ भोसड़ी के हम सब डिसअपियर करवा देंगे, इसीलिए पब्लिक का गाड़ मारा जाएगा, इसीलिए हम नहीं कर सकते हैं. So then we come back to my previous argument anyway. We need immigration. From where? NRIs. तुम उनको ब्लोजअप दो जाके, फिर भी विवेक रामास्वामी यहाँ पे नहीं आएगा. I'm afraid of saffron orange. Okay. Then look at some blue colors. Those who are misunderstanding the demographical rate of change do not understand the basic concept of exponential functions. In the long run, we underestimate what those graphs mean. My Bihari friend says we should settle large number of Biharis in Murshidabad to make it balance. I'm like, are Bengali Hindus so much law? Yeah, that would save Hinduism in a place called West Bengal, but it would not be West Bengal. So yeah, Bihar is going to be saved anyway. तो हम बिहारियों को यहाँ पे सेटल करके या ना करके बंगालियों का कुछ फायदा तो है नहीं. Jai Shri Ram Ninar. Yoga is a cult of insanity. Saffron is devil. I see. I'll have some green tea and wait for some more comments. And maybe have a cigarette. Yan. Yeah. There's a reason semiconductor was being pushed in Bengal. वो तुम लोगों को दिखाने के लिए था कि देखो we still care about Bengal. I'll of course take back all my disappointment, depressive sounding words if at all I'm proven wrong. I will happily take them back. I will say, yeah, my hunch was wrong. Or maybe they end up with 180, 190, 200 seats. And then we'll all have collectively underestimated simply the frustration of Bengali people with the current people in government. Maybe. I will have a cigarette. Cigarette smoking is injurious to health, guys. Smoking causes cancer. Do not smoke. Say no to drugs. Say no to cigarettes. Oh my god, I don't have a cigarette in this box. Fuck. So, can I have something else? How is your Vanguard project going? I have put it on complete hold. Yeah, and I keep forgetting to reply to people who are now sending Aadhaar cards and stuff for people who want to join. I am not taking one single step with that project unless there's a political change. It's going to get too risky. Prithipartho Dashgupta is saying, in the long run, all this societal upheaval might lead to the creation of a new... Do you mean new region in Bengal, or do you really mean new religion in Bengal? Modern religions, though, yeah, there are many. Wokeism, communism, etc. New region, yeah, another partition is impending, is pending. কি করবো, দেশ ছেড়ে দেবো কাকড়ে and live as an alien away from home? No, if you can, you must obviously settle in a better country with proper law and order and stuff. If not, at least go in the places where it's nice in India, like Goa. Dada, wait for a bit. Even we are working on this, so I'll let you know. No, December 6th nahi. Abhi ke abhi. What's the scene about Abhijit Ganguly? Well, he's also depressed, of course, that no significant arrests are being made. Prithipartho is saying religion. Or new religion in Bengal. It will have the name of some modern terminology only. It will be like humanism and stuff. And even if that happens, it's not going to be a significant thing, not in the context we are speaking about, unless you say that yes, a new religion will be created, everyone will convert to that. Yeah, that's maybe 200 years down the line, not right now. Newtown, though, BJP will win on ground if crazy support after the aliens started leaving. उन लोगों को दुर्गांगन भी मिल रहा है क्या 12 एकड़ जमीन पे? Because I'm stupid and my frontal lobe is not fully developed. Oh, you're not 25 yet. I see. Too much depressing talks. Bolo kya hai fe jaccho? No, I'm broke. All my money is for my lawyers now. पूरा समर्पण, टोटल समर्पण कर दिए हैं. फिर काल भैरव अष्टकम प्रोजेक्ट भी आना है, उसके लिए लोन भी लेना पड़ेगा. Work on Vanguard. Oh, like I said, Arindam, yeah. No, he's not talking about Vanguard. KIFF तो free ना जाता है तो टाका खर्चा करते जाए ना. Every penny for lawyers now. Newton problem is no one is allowed to go vote there. Strong men stand in front of society gates. Oh yeah. BJP did say that they will make sure there are voting booths inside, or did the ECI say they are going to demand voting booths inside the apartment societies this time around. I am continuing the writing of my book, by the way, and since I'm not used to writing all that much, it's so tough. And I knew this from music production, of course, that after all, it's a thinking and a creative process. So whatever I write today or do today will probably come across as pure horseshit the next day. But yes, it is going on like that. Everything I wrote down as profound, seemingly awesome, seemingly to be proud of. The next day I realized, oh shit, that was cringe. But near my society, strongmen already left. Oh. Feels like if Vokes vote for CPIM, it will cut TMC votes. Uh, Most Vokes here to learn are the official Vokes and stuff. They are mostly in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, USA. The majority of Bengalis who are Vokes but don't realize so are Trinamool voters themselves. Mm. Like every now and then I see posts suggesting that why do even people celebrate their message? Why do people post such things saying that, yeah, I'm getting married? Is that an achievement? Are you saying marriage is an achievement, bro? All the Bengalis who write that stuff are not officially woke. They have never heard of the word wokeism. They are just the standard evolution of a commie mind. But they are the same people who are celebrating the marriage of that lesbian couple in Sundarbans. I personally believe, yeah, that's a very significant thing. That wow, see, Hindu society is so accommodating, as opposed to some other countries you advocate for. When those countries themselves go to war and then uh, scream in defense and say, no, do ceasefire. As opposed to those societies, yes, see, this is so awesome. But if you believe marriage is not an achievement, marriage is not a thing to be celebrated, why is a lesbian marriage a thing to be celebrated? What is objectively more awesome than a heterosexual marriage? So these people are woke, and most of them are these days Trinamool supporters and CPM supporters. They are louder about the celebration of this lesbian couple because they want to show off that, see, we are so much better than North Indians who vote for BJP. Everything is political like that in Bengal. Neon UAE. The other register your projects under a company. Startups grant are crazy if you add in a bit of animation work. I don't have any such those kinds of projects. Do you get startups grants as a film producer and stuff? Because I intend to uh, create a fully functioning production company as well. It will start with Kaal Bhairav Ashtakam. I'll go on making a few more music and then someday films and stuff. Like Vokes capture our Baul, folk art, Bharatanatyam, etc. How do we capture their cultural territory? Do they have cultural? The entire cultural territory of Bengal is their cultural territory only. So how do we capture it? By being good at those arts, by getting into their exclusive status groups, by following their lexicon, by following their consumption patterns. You can't have consumption patterns like that of a Sanatanesi temperaturist and then try to reclaim or even claim their spaces. When I hear talks about BJP on this channel, I miss the hopium of academic man. Yeah, he's still very hopium. He disagrees with everything I just said in the last half an hour. Intercaste বিয়ে করলে 1,00,000 টাকা পাবে under. Oh my god. If you marry, if as a guy you marry a lower caste girl or an upper caste girl? I have never dated someone from my caste. So I guess I'll be looking forward to that 1 lakh someday. Trust me, getting married to a Bengali and staying married is different. Personally, I'm not attracted to the Scandinavian aesthetic. I'm very attracted to the Scottish aesthetic and the nature of Scandinavian countries, but they are going to become hellholes pretty soon, I think. Doesn't matter who is which caste. Kya baat kar rahe hai? I see. Okay. Something Savarkarite is being incentivized at least. Why doesn't anyone know about this? What the hell? 100k euros as an insurance in your name once you get citizenship is pretty attractive. You are not getting citizenship in Scandinavian countries. It's going to be a pretty tough thing to do. And you have to live on 6 months of darkness and fish and fish and fish. I guess Bengalis will have fun. Okay then. Thanks for joining, guys. See you soon. Some other time. I'm probably not coming live today. Let's see. I'll get a little freshened up after this live stream and then decide if I'm coming back for another Ninja discussion or not. Let's see. Barbarika is saying production grants are there for animation related. Acha, you can always pitch saying you plan to work up to it. West Bengal, any startup will get the grant since no competition. I see. Dada, তুমি ডেট করার সময় জিজ্ঞাসা করতে কোন জাত? No, I didn't ask them ever. Only after I found out about the Max Weberian way of looking at caste, or the Declan Quigley way of looking at caste as status groups and with their own consumption patterns and stuff. After learning all that stuff, I realized, holy shit, I have forever dated only Brahmins, Vaidyas, Kastas, except one girl. She was probably SC. I'm not even sure. She had a out of the ordinary sounding surname. That surname is what was the surname? Oh, Metia. That's probably SC. Ninja Porvena. I'm not sure. And if he hadn't had fish enough, he can always ish. Niyanta Bangali, yeah, he'll eat salmon and cod every day. But I'm definitely looking forward to that 1 lakh rupees. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Bye bye. Hopefully.
যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা জলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলরে একলা চলো